Today we're making this macrame Capricorn wall hanging. Hi friends, and Happy New Year! I hope you had a wonderful holiday season. For this project we're using cotton rope, and I happen to have a coupon code for you for the yarn. Make sure you enter Simply Inspired 15 at the online checkout. Details on where to shop will be in the description box. You will also need some scissors, T-pins, a macrame board, and a wooden dowel. Also, I find it helpful to have a highlighter to highlight the grid pattern. Speaking of which, take a screenshot of the grid pattern now and let's get started. First, we're going to need to attach all 22 strands of rope onto our wooden dowel using a lark's head knot. Fold your rope in half to find the center. Then with the center loop, place that behind your wooden dowel and thread the tail ends through that loop. Cinch up the slack and then repeat with the remaining rope. Alright, now let's take a look at our grid pattern. We're going to start on the top left and work our way all the way across to the top right. And as you can see, it's the background color for the first 4 rows. Now I'm using Sheep G's Chunky Monkey yarn in the color Jasmine. It's a medium worsted weight yarn. And of course, feel free to use any color you wish. I'm going to use Jasmine for the background. I find that it is as close as I can get to the color of my cotton rope. Anyways, working with a long strand of yarn, we're going to place it right behind the first strand of rope with the short tail end on the left and the long on the right. Make a loop on your right and then wrap your long tail end around and through that loop. And as you can see, all we really did is just kind of wrap it around our cord. To make this a knot, what you want to do is repeat the same thing again. So make a loop on your right, wrap your long tail end around and through the loop. Cinch it up a little bit, but not too tight because you want to be able to slide it all the way up to the top. Then you can go ahead and make your adjustments. Alright, to tie our second knot, you want to place the same strand of yarn behind your next strand of rope and make a loop on your right, wrap your long tail end around and through the loop, cinch it all the way up to the top this time, and repeat one more time. Make a loop, wrap it around, through the loop, and cinch it up to the top. This knot is called a vertical double half hitch knot. And aside from the lark's head knot we did at the start, this is primarily the only knot we're using to create the design of our Capricorn. And yes, this technique is very similar to how you tie friendship bracelets. Now, because this macrame pattern uses the same knot in repetition, I consider this to be an easy pattern. However, the larger the grid pattern and the more colors that are used really ups the difficulty level. And even a small pattern takes quite a long time. This macrame Capricorn took me about 3 days in total. Alright, don't forget to highlight each row you complete. For the second row, we're going to go back in the opposite direction. So working with the same long strand of yarn we were working with, you want to pull it behind the last strand of rope, then make a loop on your left this time, wrap your cord around and through the loop, and cinch it up to the top and repeat one more time. So yes, this is exactly the same thing that we did for our first row, only we're going back in the opposite direction. If you are finding value in this macrame tutorial, please do me a huge favor and give this video a thumbs up. Thank you so much for doing that, I truly appreciate it. At this point, I ran out of length of my yarn. Whenever that happens, you want to grab your ball of yarn and snip off another strand and attach it just like we did at the start, only we're going in reverse this time. So what that means is your short tail end is going to be on your right hand side this time, and your long tail end is going to be on the left. So anytime you run out of length of your yarn, we're always going to attach a new piece just like this. Just be mindful of what direction your row is going. As far as the length of the yarn goes, I like to work with 60 inches at a time, which is roughly my arm span. Now for you, feel free to use whatever length you're comfortable working with. It really doesn't matter because we're always going to attach a new piece every time we run out. Once you make it all the way across your second row, we're going to take the same cord and we're going to go back in the other direction, always zigzagging down our pattern. I skipped ahead a little bit, and as you can see, we're right now at the point where we need to add a different color. And don't worry, it is very easy. If you're following along with what colors I'm using, for the second color, I'm using mid-gray. Go ahead and snip off a long strand of your second color, and we're going to attach it just like we did at the very start of this project. So anytime you run out of length of a color or you're switching to a new color, we're going to attach it just like we did before. And if you're wondering what happened to our previous strand, what we're going to do is we're just going to place it off to the side and leave it there for now. Once you tied your first knot with your mid-gray color, place the short tail end towards the back, right next to our previous color. Then tie your vertical double half-hitch knots just the same as we were before. Alright, now that we tied all of our gray, we need to go right back to our background color. Locate your previous strand of yarn, and to be quite honest, my strand is a little bit on the short side, so what I would do if I wasn't filming is I would just attach a new piece. But let's pretend I have a long strand of my previous cord. What you would do is you would take all your filler cords that you tied with your gray, and you want to flip them up. Grab your previous strand of yarn and you want to run it underneath the bottom, right along the back. Place your filler cords back down and carry on tying your vertical double half-hitch knots. Now, what this is going to look like on the back is you're going to have a series of big stitches. Now, don't worry about that. We will finish up the back later at the end of this tutorial. So anytime you need to switch to a different color, we're always going to run our strand behind the back. Alright, so let's continue zigzagging all the way down our grid pattern. I chose to do Capricorn for this tutorial because, well, it's Capricorn season, and I happen to be a Capricorn. I just finished celebrating my birthday a couple days ago. According to astrology, Capricorns are loyal, ambitious, and hard workers. We're also stubborn and self-critical. Now, I'm not quite sure about the accuracy of horoscopes or astrology, but I do identify with all of those traits. Do you have a Capricorn in your life, and do you think that they have those similar traits? I would be really interested to know if you find that your Capricorn friends are similar. Now, to clean up the mess on the back, we're going to flip it over and grab any two strands of yarn that are close together. Now, what I like to do is tie just a regular double overhand knot and then snip off the excess length. If you wanted to, you could go through the trouble and weave in the ends along the back, but I find that this works just the same. And it's faster, and people really shouldn't be flipping over your wall hangings and checking out the back. If you wanted to do this even more easily, you could just snip off all the excess length. However, I do feel more comfortable tying a double overhand knot just to make sure that everything is secure and all your knots won't slip out. Plus, it still feels pretty smooth and flush to the back. Now, if you wanted to go in the other direction and finish off the back really professionally by adding a backing and your signature, I have a separate tutorial on how to do just that. Click the link on the screen now, and I'll see you over there.